Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, fellow classmates. I am Napoli Jimmy Luciano, and I will be the one to report The Little Prince, written and illustrated by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. So, here are those course objectives. At the end of the last semester, the student should be able to summarize and outline the plot of the various pieces of world literature, identify and discuss the human situation depicted in the various pieces of literature, react to literature in various ways, reflect on the theme of the various pieces of literature, express appreciation for the wisdom imparted by the various pieces of the literature. Yes, but before we proceed to our proper topic, let us know first what are those key facts in The Little Prince. So, who wrote The Little Prince? When was The Little Prince written? So, let us know. Here are those key facts. The, the Little Prince, in French, it is what we call Le Petit Prince. Author is Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Type of work is novella or children's story. Genre is fable or allegory. Language, French. Time and place written. The summer and fall of 1942 while Saint-Exupéry was living in Long Island, New York. Date of first publication, first published in English translation in 1943. The French edition did not appear until 1946. And publisher, Reynal and Hitchcock. Harcourt Brace, Giovanich Incorporation. US edition, both French and English, Gallimard French and edition. So let us know what is the biography of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is both a pioneer of aviation and well-known French writer. He was born in Lyon, France in 19th. He dreamed of a life of adventure and wanted to become a naval officer. Unfortunately, he failed the exam to qualify him for naval officer training school. As a result, he turned his attention to the field of aviation. When we say aviation, it is the pilot, and when we say naval officer, it is the military office, the army rather officer that is what is one to be what and what is to and what is a want Antoine Exupery want to become. He joined the military and trained to be a pilot. After his military service, he presented himself to the director of an airline company and expressed his desire to become a commercial pilot. In 1927, after serving as a mechanic, Saint-Exupéry became a pilot, opening up new air routes over the Mediterranean Sea, North Africa, and the Sahara. In this time, he also begins to write his first book named Southern Mail. When the World War II broke out, he rejoined the French Air Force. After Nazi troops overtook France in 1940, he fled to the US. In World War II was raging in Europe and France had fallen to the Nazis. The 1940s armistice between both countries essentially allowed the Nazis to occupy France. In the wake of this, Saint-Exupéry fled to the United States with the hope of convincing its government to enter the war against the Nazis. The innocence of the little prince is in the stark contrast to what the Nazis represented. And the like, little prince longs to go home. It can be surmised that so too and did Saint Exupery. He stayed in the United States for 27 months, having left will the support of the United States military to join the Free French Air Force. He had hoped to join U.S. war effort as a fighter pilot, but was dismissed because of his age. Because at this time he was 42 years of age and was considered too old to be a pilot, and that's why he never came. For Saint-Exupery, flying was not just piloting an airplane. It was a time for meditation and reflection. While in air, Saint-Exupéry would think deeply about solitude, friendship, the meaning of life, the human condition, and liberty. And at this time, he formulated he think about the making of the Little Prince. He first became a journalist traveling through Spain, Russia, and Germany. He also wrote two philosophical books based on aviation, Night Flight in 1932 and Wind, Sun, and Stars in 1939. In 1939, his novel Wind, Sand, and Stars is also published and would end up winning both the Academy franchise Grand Prix du Roman and the United States National Book Award. Yeah. So the Little Prince book was first published in New York, his most celebrated book in 1943. In 1943 also, this year also, after 27 months, he leaves to join the Free French Air Force squadron in Northern America. In addition to the year 1935, Antoine Exupery gets into another airplane crash, trying to break the speed record by flying from the France to Saigon. He crash lands in the Sahara Desert. Him and his co-pilot end up walking 4 days dehydrated until they are rescued. So in 1942, he decided to join the U.S. Army as a pilot. He accomplished many mission over occupied France. On July 31, 1944, Saint-Exupéry left for his last mission. His plane was destroyed by the German over the Mediterranean Sea. And by this year, um, Saint-Exupéry declared that he was died because his body didn't found his body. So after the author's biography, let us move on to the Little Prince summary. The story begins with a pilot who had just crash landed in Sahara Desert. As he is working on his plane, he is interrupted by what appears to be a child with unruly blonde hair who has appeared out of nowhere. The little prince, as he referred to, asked the pilot for a drawing of a ship. The pilot is somewhat hesitant, having explained that when he was a child, he had been discouraged by the adult to pursue drawing but rather focus on serious things like history. Eventually, he grants the little prince request and they became friends in the 8 days that they are together. So in this time, um, the the pilot the pilot um was hesitating to draw what the little prince wants because he disappointed by the grown-ups or the adults about his drawing. That is why he is hesitating. He is hesitating to draw because for the reason of maybe he will disappoint or the little prince disappointed about his drawing. That is why, yes. In their time together, the little prince relate his adventures and speak about his homeland, asteroid B6112. He tells the pilot of how his planet has three volcanoes, one of which is extinct rather, and how he rates them. He also mentions the importance of getting rid of bad seeds, or this is what they call the bad seeds, are those baobabs, especially those of the, yes, baobabs, diba? Who, if allowed to grow, can cause much harm to his planet. These baobabs are those seedlings that when it grows, it will engulf planet of the little prince. Okay. Besides this, he mentioned that has a rose that he loves very much, but he has come to distrust because of her lies. She's very vain, which is vain is mayabang and doesn't treat the little prince very nicely. It is for this reason that he decided to leave his home planet. Yes, through this, the little prince the little prince spent a lot of time to the rose. Um, he spent time to the rose until it grow day and night. He he put water. That's it. While on his travels, he visits 7 planets, which include the Earth. In his visit, he encounters many different adults. The king who requires obedience but has no subject until the arrival of the prince. We also have the vain man who wants nothing from the prince but flattery. We also have the drunkard man who explains to him that he must drink to forget how ashamed he is of drinking. The businessman among them, the businessman whom who means that he owns the stars, which makes it very important that he know exactly how many stars there are, and he finds them to be very perplexing and most concerned with themselves. Only the lamplighter seems to gain some respect with the little prince because in doing his job he is thinking of others. Yes. Lamplighter follows order that requires him to light a lamp each evening and put it out each morning. By this, the little prince impressed by what he do. As he travels, he starts to miss and worry about his Rose, who is left to fend her own. He eventually comes to Earth where he ventures upon a rose. He is surprised to find out that his rose isn't the only rose around as she had claimed. This encounter only makes him long for his rose more. Yes, because sorry, because um the little prince think and know that the only rose that he fend I that he keep is the only rose in the earth, but he is wrong, and that rose also lies to him. That is why the little prince forces to leave his planet in him to leave his planet. Sorry. He also encounters a fox who gives the little prince wise lessons about humans and life. Then he comes upon a poisonous snake that assures him that he can help get him back home. The story ends with the little prince deciding to return to his home planet with the aid of the poisonous snake. As he prepares to be bitten by the snake, he tells the saddened pilot that the stars will always serve to be a reminder of him. The stars will appear to be laughing at him, a reminder of the little prince's laughter. So by this, the pilot became sad because um, he loses his one he loses the person that truly understand the what the situation he faced, and by that he accept what happened, and the prince body didn't find, and it concluded the story that the body it concluded to the story that the the little prince came back to the stars to his planet rather. That is the summary of The Little Prince. So now let's move on to the elements of the story. We have plot, exposition. The narrator, which is a pilot, thinks that grown ups are not people with true understanding. They don't understand his drawing when he was a child and only wants to talk about practical stuffs like politics and golf. Th- That is why, in his whole life, he had a hard time connecting with the grown ups. Yes. We also have the rising action. The pilot had an accident with his plane in the desert of Sahara. Then he met the little prince who asked him to draw few things. And the pilot is delighted that finally he met someone with true understanding. The little prince describes his adventure and travels. Then he tells the reason why he left his planet. It is because of the flower that he loves but caused him pain. Hmm. Climax. The little prince tells the pilot about his encounters with a wise fox. The fox taught him about friendship, love, and trust. As a result of the fox's lesson, the little prince realized that he truly loves his flower and that she is unique and special because of the relationship they share with each other. Falling action. The pilot has no more supply of water, so they walk throughout the desert to find a well. Fortunately, they found one and the pilot engine is successfully fixed. The little prince wants to go back to his planet, so he is bitten by a snake, then he disappears from Earth. Now let's move on to the characters of the little prince. So the one character in the Little Prince is Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. His life. He is the narrator also. Okay, so he is a pilot, an adult with a childlike heart. His view in this world is more like a child views that an adult, because adults do not understand his drawing. He got closer to the Little Prince because he is childlike, innocence, and pure, and most important is he can understand the narrator's drawing. He knew the difference between children and adults because of the Little Prince. He learns a lot from the prince, like sharing, love, and how they see the world poetically. He cannot forget his encounter with the little prince, even if it's almost 6 years old. 6 years ago. That's why he made a story about the little prince. He finds the person who can understand him, and he's lucky enough to find the little prince and made him realize everything. At the end of the story, he asked the readers to inform him if they ever meet the little prince because of his longing to him. So we also have the Little Prince. He came from asteroid called B612. He left his planet to forget the rose or the flower. He travels a number of planets and he learned a lot of things from different people. He symbolizes a child because of his innocence. He is capable of appreciating every little thing. He speaks directly to others, appealing to their heart. He became friends with the Rhetor and teaches him with the essence of life. He travels a number of planets but never forget his rose. The rose. She was the beloved of the little prince. She was the one that caused the little prince to leave their planet. She thinks that she was so unique and the world goes around her. She occupies the little prince's heart and mind throughout the story. The journey of the little prince. The king. He is the first person that the little prince met. His robe covers his entire tiny planet. He rules over everything. The king's power is empty. He is able to command people to do only what already would do. He offered the little prince a power to be a part of his absolute monarch. But the little prince did not accept it because he only wants to have friends, not a power. The conceited man. The second person that the little prince met on his journey in the second planet. He enjoys applause and admiration. He believes that conceited people never hear anything but praise, even if he is the only person in his planet. Yeah. Tipler, the third person that the little prince met. A very short visit by this person, but the little prince plunged into deep dejection. He drinks to forget that he is ashamed of drinking, so that the little prince said that grown ups are very, certainly, very, very odd. Businessman, fourth person on the fourth planet that the little prince visited. He is busy counting the stars so that they may own them. He believes that if something has no honor, it is yours. The only character the prince actively chastises. He hates destruction, and the little prince is his third destruction. Mm. Geographer, last person that the little prince met before he landed on Earth, and it has a 10 times larger than the last one. Old gentleman who wrote the voluminous book. Even if he wants to read, he didn't want to learn about his own planet because he believes that it is the job of explorer. He tells that the rose of the little prince is em- ephemeral, means in danger of speedy disappearance. That's why the little prince realized how important the rose is. He was the one who suggests to the little prince to visit the planet Earth. Snake, the first character the first character that the prince met on Earth. Little Prince thinks that the snake is weak, but the snake tells him that he can kill a person. It can solve all kinds of riddles. It represents the death in the story because it is the one who bite the little prince to die and to and to return um to his earth, to his planet rather. There's desert flower. It has three petals. It watches the caravan to pass by. It tells him that there are only 6 or 7 men in existence and that one never knows where to find them. The little prince and the desert flower has very short conversation. Rose garden. They made the little prince realize that his rose was a common rose only. The little prince overcome his sadness because of many roses in the garden, even in a small period of time. However, with the fox advice, the little prince realizes that even so many similar flowers or roses cannot stop his own rose from being unique, especially in his heart, because he is the one who take care of his own rose at his planet. Fox. It teaches the little prince about trust, love, and friendship. It made the little prince realize how much he loves the rose. It also teaches the little prince the essence of life and being a wise creature. He tells the little prince that the nature of life is invisible and can only be experienced through the heart. Love creates a responsibility for the little prince, be responsible for his rose. The railway switchman. He works at Wing. He believes that people keep on traveling because they are dissatisfied. He don't know what adults are looking for. He agrees to the little prince that the children are the ones who enjoy and appreciate their train ride. Yes. He sells pills that can replace the need of water, or what we call the quenching pills, I guess. Yes, it is rather. He tells that the people can save up to 53 minutes a day if they don't stop to drink the pills. He symbolizes the modern world's misplaced emphasis on saving time and taking shortcuts. So the setting of the story is in the Sahara Desert, where the little prince and the pilot met and start of their story and being together as a friend. Now let's move on to the point of view. So what is the point of view of the little prince? The Little Prince is written in the first person point of view. So the first person here is the narrator. In other words, we see all of the action of the story from the narrator's perspective. Yes, from the narrator's perspective or experiences, who is also an active participant in the story. In a sense, the reader becomes one with the narrator. So, whomever read the Little Prince story will I would be the narrator. So let's move on and come to the tone. The tone of the Little Prince is often lonely and solemn sounding. Seems that the narrator is alone. He trying to reminiscence his childhood life to cover his loneliness, and the Little Prince is full of imagination and quite curious about the life of a man. The Little Prince tried to venture to understand the world of man, and sooner and later he realized that the life of a man or the life of getting older is not that much happy compared of a child's life like him. Conflict. The child perspective of the prince and, to some extent, those of the narrator are in conflict with the stifling beliefs of the adult world. The conflict between the childlike perspective of the prince and the beliefs of the adult's world, in that adults cannot appreciate the things that children do, even though they were once children. Identify and discuss the human situation depicted in the various species of literature. The human situation depicted in the Little Prince was shows that they are creative, unique, and they see things similar, but both of them having a hard to express what they are thinking because grown-ups or adults cannot understand anything without numerous explanation. It also shows that children and grown-ups have different perspective about life. React to literature in various ways. I think the intention of the author is to make us realize the essence of human life and human nature. He wants his readers to realize that children and grown ups are never the same, even though grown ups undergone childhood. He also wants us to picture out how one would search for things that would make him happy. In this human race, we met different kinds of persons, and there are some who are like from the six planets wherein we can't find out what we are looking for in them, and they are just acquaintance. While the facts as those strange people who become our friends, and some are like snakes who will just fool us. Reflect on theme of the various pieces of literature. The theme that the theme that the Little Prince reflect was in three forms. The importance of relationship, yes, the importance of relationship of the Little Prince and the Rose, which is the Little Prince is very love. He very loved the rose, and also the bonding and the bonding together with the Little Prince and the pilot, which is create a good understanding, a good companionship in the Sahara Desert. Yes, we also love at distance, as what I've said. Even though even though you are far from someone, from that someone, you still love them. And in the story of the Little Prince, love at distance will consider to the love of the prince to his rose, even though they are both far, but the little prince are longing and and um and longing for the love of the rose. Yes, that is why he decided to go back to his planet. And the loss of innocence. Yes, as we can see that the narrator and the little prince are the same perceptions in life, the same, uh, the same, the same things that they felt, when they are when they are when they are together. Yes, and it is also um being a child has a lot of questions, and the adults or the grown-ups cannot understand, but because the adults only wants the good and the betterment of the child. It is only with the heart that the one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to them. I also consider this in the theme of the story, because the most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen with an eye but can felt with the heart. Like, for example, love, faithfulness, honesty, loyalty, gratitude, trust, kindness, happiness, and etc. Those beautiful things allow us to live a better life. Express appreciation for the wisdom imparted by the various pieces of literature. We cannot truly understand unless we search for meaning ourselves. Someone else can tell us about it, but we need to experience it to know what it means. We cannot rely on other telling us, teaching us, or trying to get a message across, depending on how the readers views it. This story has many teachings it can offer. The narrator says that what makes the water from the well so good is all the hard work that went into finding the well with water. Relationship, objects, and experiences are rewarding only when a person put his or her own time and effort into it. Now let's move on to the facts and trivias of the Little Prince. The philosophical topic dealt by the author with the simplicity of children are the main reason why The Little Prince is the third most translated book in the world, counting 250 different languages, and sold some 200 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling books in the publishing history. We also have Saint-Exupery mysteriously disappeared after finishing the book. Yes, it says that after he wrote the book, he this mysteriously disappeared. We also have a braille version for visually impaired readers has been printed. In France, Saint-Exupéry's birthplace, The Little Prince and his further works were not allowed to be printed until after the Second World War because of the author's views and social criticism which were not tolerated by the Nazi rule in Vichy France. For this reason, secretly printed copies widespread. Yes. By this time, the works of um, Saint Exupery was being criticized, and it cannot fully shown into the public. That is why he secretly printed copies, and it's widespread. So, The Little Mermaid may have inspired Saint Exupery to write The Little Prince. Yes, by this he came up he come up with the idea of The Little Mermaid. That is why he made The Little Prince. It is during his exile to North America during the Second World War that Antoine de Saint-Exupéry dedicated himself to literature, writing almost half of his work, including The Little Prince. And today, The Little Prince is used as a beginner's book for French language students and is considered as one of the best 20th century books in France. Yeah. We also have references and resources. Presented by Iana Neptali JML, HSG1E said English. Thank you everyone for listening and for paying attention to my topic. I hope that you learned something, and thank you for everything. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you everything. Thank you, mom.